You have found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. Pat is back. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about Vooch getting a 3-year deal. Is Jevon Carter a good point guard prospect for the Chicago Bulls? And can Ayo Dosunmu actually become a three-point threat? We're going to talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode of Locked On Bulls is brought to you by Prize Picks. First-time users can receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com, promo code Locked On. You have found yourself in another episode of Locked On Bulls. Member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where's your team every day? That is the one and only Pat, the designer, host, and creator of the Windy City Breeze, and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. You see him in his little merch, his little official merch.
Little merch. We got to get some merch out here, man. We got to get a little merch out here.
That's what's up. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls and Chicago Bears Central. Pat, let's get into it for the day. You took a day off. You left me hanging on Friday with your little vacation and stuff, but nonetheless, we held it down. But reportedly, the Bulls are eyeing a 3-year extension on a deal for Nikola Vucevic. Now, me and you've talked a lot about Vooch, the number, the years we've kind of touched on a little bit, but now that we kind of have what the ideal number of years are for the Bulls, how do you feel about a 3-year extension? Do you think that this kind of means, if this is coming out, do you think they already have the money part worked out? They're trying to work out the years. What does this tell you, Pat?
I think this tells us that they've probably the fact that, right, like, what did we hear this beginning of last week that they wanted to bring Vooch back, that they were finally starting talks. They probably had this deal in mind for a little while, and it's just about working out the language, working out semantics of it, and working out kind of how the money's going to fall, because more than likely, right, the Bulls want this to be a contract that's going to be favorable for them by the end of it, where they can move on from Vooch if they need to, or they can trade him maybe in the middle of that contract if he has another good year with the Bulls, depending on where the team is heading. Or, right, and Vooch is probably like, nah, I want to be here. I'm going to finish out my career here. Yeah. And I want a contract that's going to make sure that you guys keep me around so I'm not picking up and moving my family again. So I think that there's a couple of things to play into it. Realistically, I think we talked about the money side of things. Maybe that's where the haggling is. I would think it's more so whether it's a front-loaded deal or a back-loaded deal, because to me, right, you're probably talking about, I don't know, what, 20 mil for Vooch, which may seem crazy to some people, but 20 mil a year, probably 60 or somewhere in the 60, 65 range, maybe getting to the 70 might be crazy, but maybe getting into that 70 range. And to me, I think your holdup right now is probably, one, the fact that nothing can happen yet, but two, maybe whether this is a front-loaded or back-loaded contract.
Yeah, I mean, I think great points that you made there. At the end of the day, when it comes to $20 million, while I used to think about that and think like Vooch at $20 million with where he is, he's about to be, 32 years old.
Yeah.
I used to think that was a lot, but then I had to put it in perspective. The mid-level exception is $12 million.
Yeah.
Vooch is worth $8 million more than the mid-level exception.
Absolutely.
As a top five center in the league.
He's still a top 5 center in the league, depending on what metrics you want to look at. Is he a top 5 defensive center? Yeah. No. Yeah. But he's actually
he was top 10 in defensive rating last season.
Top 10. Yeah. I think that also goes into the fact of, right, like, to me, that's the conversation of who's a center and who's not. Because there's a lot of centers they be putting in that power forward category.
This is the one thing is that I think it is hard to gauge, because like up until like 2 years ago, maybe even it was a year ago, Bam was still listed in the power forward category, and he hasn't played power forward in has he ever played power forward? Maybe his first couple of years in the league?
First couple of years he definitely played power forward. But I think, right, like I always think about Giannis. What is Giannis?
Giannis is just Giannis, bro.
Giannis, but he's listed now as a power forward, and I'm like, he was a small forward his whole career.
Yeah.
Until maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and now he's like one of the greatest, most dominant power forwards of all time. It was like, nah, he used to be a small forward for sure.
Yeah,
he just couldn't shoot. But
yeah,
I mean, here's the thing, right? How does this? You're our resident capologist. How does this change what the Bulls are going to try and structure around some of the people here. And does this leave us in a situation where you're probably heading towards somebody being traded?
Yeah, I think we're headed towards that anyway. I mean, if you re-sign Vooch for 20, right? Keep in mind the projections that I gave before was that if you re-sign Nikola Vucevic for 18 and a half, and at that point, I think it was Kobe for about 12 and a half, that would have only left you $8 million under the luxury tax. If you're talking about Vooch going to be 20, and maybe you get Kobe less, so maybe they're willing to maybe get more initially, but
actually,
we're looking at the Bulls probably having about $8 million to $7 to $8 million of the mid-level exception they can use, maybe less. And because of that, unless you can add a shooter, like I said before, we need to start realizing the dream of adding a point guard shooting and some rim protection, it ain't happening. You may get 2 out of the 3, more than likely you getting 1 out of the 3 this offseason. And primarily we're running it back other than that.
Only way I see that even remotely happening is right, like somebody comes on the market that's just so worth you, like you think it's the fix, right? Like the one thing I'll say, it's funny because we're gonna talk about another Bucks point guard that maybe we could go after, but like when there was that like week and a half where they was like Drew Holiday might be on the market, and I was like, okay, yeah, go after Drew Holiday. Oh, but he make a lot of money. Yeah, you know what I don't care about? The money Drew Holiday makes. Like, yeah. Oh, but he got cooked by Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's 6'7".
Well, and Jimmy's cooked quite a few people in this playoff series. So, that's a long list if you're just going off of who Jimmy Butler has cooked. But at the end of the day, like when it comes to the Bulls and what they need to do, if they're going to do something substantial, a trade, it has to come. It just has to. Now, I'm not saying the blow it all up trade that some people are looking for, but a trade almost has to happen at some point, even if it's just facilitating sign and trade so you can get some talent in that way. But, listen, this is a year where AK and Eversley got to make their money again, bro. Like they absolutely have to make their money if they want to improve the team. Because like I said, every day that goes by as we get closer, I think that it's more and more likely we may be looking at the exact same team back. The exact same team with Carleek Jones as the fifth.
Carleek, Justin Jones is getting his opportunity. I mean, here's what I'll ask you, right? Like when you look at, is this a move that signifies just trying to tread water, not trying to swim? Because to me, this is I'm just trying to stay afloat right now. We're just trying to get out of. They're not. I keep saying they're not gonna just do any injury exception, whatever there is with Lonzo Ball. They won't. They're going to hold on to the opportunity of Lonzo Ball, just like they held on to the opportunity of Jamal Murray. Remember, Jamal Murray was a guy who was injured, often missed time, and they waited out.
But nothing was saying that he could not return at all for his career, though. That's a rough comparison because Jamal Murray didn't have anything that type of.
Nothing was saying that, but I think the question with Jamal Murray is the same question you had with Lonzo, where even right before we thought he could never come back and play basketball again, it was, okay, are we going to hold out hope here? When he was in there, he was amazing. He's not in there. We're really, really bad or bad at times. So now with the new light where, people in the front office feel like maybe he'll never come back and play ball again, that may be a little bit different. I also will say, again, who are these people in the front office? That's always my question.
It's literally it's literally the person who refills the paper in the printer. Somebody came in, it's like, we need to interview a Bulls exec. Are you done changing that printer? Yeah, come over here. Let's holler at you. What do you think the Bulls are going to do this offseason? Well, I think we should wait on Lonzo to come back. Bam, write it, book it. That's what it is.
And to me, right, that's like asking Ted Phillips what he thinks should happen with the roster when he was the president of the Bears. Like, you knew what he was there for. You knew he was there for the money.
Yeah.
When Muggs would ask him Bears questions, it would irritate my soul. So I kind of feel like, I don't know if that's the overwhelming feeling with AK and Eversley, but I say all that to say, right, like the Bulls are really going to be a patient team. And to me, this just feels like a tread water kind of move.
I mean, when you look at, like, I love the 1-2 punch of Vooch and Zach, and I think that's an easy core to build around. I think when you throw in the DeMar portion of it, that's when it gets really, again, not to say that you still can't build around it. The Bulls did, and I think sometimes we also have to realize that technically the roster that AK built worked to get us to the first place, and it didn't start falling apart until we didn't have all the pieces, right?
Yeah.
To a degree. Now, we still have problems there, right? And nobody's saying we would have won a title, but I think that we forget sometimes that, like, the roster that he built for the 35 games or so, we actually got to see it together. And keep in mind, even then, there was no Patrick Williams. It was working.
Yeah. And that's the part that hamstrings, realistically, right? You think about it, the roster that worked, it worked because of how much you invested in it, who those players were. Lonzo Ball didn't come at a cheap price. You have to still pay that, man. He's still a part of the book. So now, right, like I think what this move states to me is we're just trying to tread water until Lonzo's money is off the books. If he comes back, beautiful, great story. Hope that it happens. If he doesn't come back, we're going to have to wait this thing out anyway because we're not going to bite the bullet and just get him off the team.
Yeah. Could you imagine saying, hey, Jerry, can we go into the, like, I would love to hear a conversation because AK said he's ready to present it to ownership. Like, what does that presentation look like? Do you have like a PowerPoint or is it a, hey, Jerry, and Jerry looks at you and say, before you even ask, is this about money? Because if the answer is, the answer is no.
I feel like it's a conversation that does need to be had though, because like this is, if you believe that the team with Lonzo works, you can find another player like Lonzo. You can find a guy who, now maybe not that does everything Lonzo did, but I'm saying on the offensive side, you can find the facilitator guy out there. It's just going to cost you money.
Yeah. I mean, technically, I mean, in the NBA, we've seen it. You can find almost anything you need if you're willing to pay the right price, whether it be money and or draft capital, which the Bulls don't have a lot of either. But
Bulls will spend some capital out here.
We spent some capital. Next up, we're going to be talking about Jevon Carter and what he could bring to the Chicago Bulls team potentially. But before we do that, I got to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. It's the place to go. How does it work? You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they go on to score more or less than the Prize Pick projections, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. Prize Picks offers projections as well on any sport that you can watch. This includes NBA, WNBA, NASCAR, college football, men's college basketball, women's college basketball, soccer, esports, every single thing you can imagine. Prize Picks has projections for. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com and sign up to play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. If you deposit 100, Prize Picks will give you 100. If you deposit 50, Prize Picks will give you 50. Don't forget to enter promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. All right, Pat, we got to talk about Jevon Carter, man. How do you feel about him overall as a prospect, as a player? We got to see him a lot. We played against him a lot. I think he cooked the Bulls a couple of times over the last couple of years as well. How do you feel? Jevon Carter, theoretically could bring a lot of what you did get from Patrick Beverley.
What are we looking for him to bring? I mean, it's not Jevon Carter's a nice role player piece.
Yeah.
He's not a leader of that team. I don't think that he's going to all of a sudden have this breakout role with the Chicago Bulls. I look at Jevon Carter as a nice piece to have if I have my piece in place. Jevon Carter works because of Drew Holiday. I don't need Jevon Carter to be more. I have Drew. I think that, listen, is he a fine role-playing point guard piece? For sure. Is he going to come in? Could he be a point guard for the Bulls that is going to facilitate the ball and do those things? Possibly. But I mean, like, it's not like I look at Jevon Carter's game and or his numbers and say, my God, I've got to have this guy. Right? Like, that is I think that that's the situation you're in if you're going to get Jevon Carter, that you've missed on all the guys that you feel are ahead of him or didn't go after him. And
the
it's not a
consolation
slight,
prize.
it's
I get what you're saying.
It's not a slight to him. I'm not saying that he's a bad player. I think that it's just there's players that are on the point guard list to me that I would like to see the Bulls go after first.
For sure.
Versus that are starters versus a Jevon Carter who's a role player that I think you're trying to turn into a starter. And when you change people's role like that, you're not going to, maybe the production goes up, maybe it doesn't. You're playing the gamble game on that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think Jevon Carter could be nice if let's say the Bulls do survey the field, they try to get in they try to get a Trey Jones, whoever you want to name, de facto, whoever your target is. Let's say they try to get that person, they can't add him.
Trey Jones now. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Huh?
I said I don't know if we're getting Trey Jones now. I ain't gonna lie to you. Trey Jones and Wemby might not be that bad. That might be a nice little.
Well, keep in mind the Spurs do own another pick, and there's some point guard prospects down there as well.
That is true.
Their draft pro, but I agree with you. I agree with you. But if whoever we aim for, if we don't do that, and the Bulls look and say, "All right, Kobe, it's your turn to start." If they didn't go out and say Jevon Carter, you're getting an opportunity. But the question I want to present to this is, what does Jevon Carter get you that Ayo does? I know we're down on Ayo. What does Jevon Carter give you that Ayo doesn't do? That's the biggest question in all of this.
I guess the guarantee. Like I know, right? Like I've seen 3 years of Jevon Carter, 4 years.
Jevon Carter's been in the league since 2018. So yeah,
what is that? That's 4 years. 5 years.
5 years.
5 years ago. I've seen 5 years of Jevon Carter. I know the player that he's going to be. I have a guarantee that at a minimum, Jevon Carter will do this for me, which is literally Ayo Dosunmu, basically rookie year. But you have less size, you've got less length, you've got. I feel like I need to hit that one on myself. That was crazy. We
all know you love that size, bro. Don't even.
All righty, hold on now. That's technical foul, Haize. But I think that at the end of the day, you're probably going to pay Ayo the same thing. You're probably here's what it is. It's different. At the end of the day, that's all it is. Jevon Carter's different. I think Ayo Dosunmu can give me 8 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds. I've watched him do it. All it is different. And maybe, right, like maybe there's this hope that he comes back and he has an ability to get the defensive prowess back that he had his rookie year. That's all I can think about it. Like, I don't know.
I mean, that's definitely a possibility. I mean, I understand that as Bulls Nation, we're down on Ayo, but I look at Jevon Carter, and maybe it's Ayo insurance. Maybe you bring in, if you do end up striking out, you start Kobe, you hope that Ayo is going to come in training camp ready, but you sign Jevon Carter for just what you said. We know that he's going to give us what we need if Ayo can't give us that.
And I guess the question is, right, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. Can I get Ayo for the cheaper price, knowing that he could turn back into what we thought he was becoming? Because I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. Would we give an Ayo more than $5 million?
No, because if if Ayo and his agent come to the table and they're we want $8.5 million, I'm gonna look at him and be like, all right, cool. I hope you go find that somewhere.
Yeah.
And we'll keep your bird rights, because if you do sign an offer sheet for less than that, we'll see you back here. But shout out to you on that.
I'm giving you DJJ money. That's the production you gave.
He's gonna get a little bit more 3.3, but
why? I can look at more games last season that DJJ gave me an impact than I can with Ayo. Like, if you're just saying we paying off of youth, okay, but like he only a year or 2 younger than DJJ is.
He's 5 years younger than DJJ. Give that man his credit, bro. Come on now.
Can we really say Ayo had more of an impact last season than DJJ?
No, but the difference is DJJ signed his contract. That's on him. Listen, that's on you. He should have got more. Honestly, DJJ should have got more. But okay.
I think wasn't DJJ, he was hurt a good chunk of last season because of the finger.
Yeah,
the season before because of the finger.
And it's the wrist. Like,
yeah,
every time the wrist.
Yeah. I told y'all, I think he got like carpal tunnel or something. Like, no matter what he do, he just like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But bro,
DJJ is only 26 years old.
I told you.
That's crazy.
What are we paying for?
That's wild. He's
been in the league like 13 seasons. He came in as a freshman in 8th grade.
DJJ has been in the league for 7 years, and he's 26 years old.
We got a bunch of Bulls like that. It's funny when you think about that too. When we be like, we don't have no veterans on this team. We got some vets on this team, like legit. But like, I think that's really what you look at. Like, if I'm looking at paying one guy over the other, Ayo Dosunmu over, and we'll get into kind of what Ayo hopefully can become, right? But like, I guess it just comes about who's coming cheaper. Because
listen, Ayo's had but Ayo I mean, he did have more opportunity, more consistent opportunity, but like we got to stop acting like Ayo averaged like 3 points per game. He still averaged 8.6, two, almost 3 rebounds, almost 3 assists per game on almost 50% shooting. Like it was terrible to watch because he missed so many give me's, but like DJJ stats ain't nowhere close to Ayo's, and they both their stats are mad regular.
Hey, DJJ
it's extra regular in here.
DJJ don't get as many minutes, but I agree with you. But I think in the sense of Ayo over Jevon Carter.
Oh, over Jevon Carter.
Right, like to me, that's the case that we have in here. If we talk about Ayo over Jevon Carter, it's just about who comes cheaper. If Jevon Carter is willing to take a $3 million deal, which he's probably not, then go get Jevon Carter. If Ayo
needs that
Dosunmu,
turtle wax for his bald head, he can't accept it. That's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough.
That's tough.
That's tough. That's tough.
Turn sideways too quick, it'll blind you.
But next up, let's go and get into the last topic for today. And that is, Pat, we got to talk about Ayo. Well, we already were talking about Ayo a little bit, but let's talk about him a little bit more. Ayo Dosunmu was seen working on that 3-point shot. Now, my thing is, that's all fine and dandy, but can you work? And that's the one thing he should be able to work on in the gym. Can you finish at the rim when nobody's around you? Can you do that? But nonetheless, working on this 3-point shot, what chances are you giving that Ayo can make the 3-point shot respectable? We're not asking him to become a lockdown 3-point shooter. He's 34% for his career, 31% last season, taking the same amount. 2.4 per game is what he's averaged. He hit it at 37 his first year, 31 his second year. Can he get back? Because I would say 38% 3-point shooter for Ayo, that's right around where we need him to be.
I think the question is, what is his role going to be? If he knows what his role is going into the season, I think that he can work on that 3-point shot being more of an effective weapon. The one thing, right, like we talked about Ayo in 2 years, down season, all of that, right? The real thing is, right, Ayo's been asked to be a point guard. We've both said he's not really a point guard. He's more of a combo guard. He was more of a scorer in college at Illinois. He was a guy that went out there and was able to shoot the 3 ball at about a 30, probably 36% clip in college, maybe. I think that last season he might have had more of a like higher 3-point percentage, but I think he shot the 3 ball a lot less. So that plays into it. But I think that, right, like, listen, Ayo's a guy that absolutely can develop it. It's just about, will he develop it and will he have the confidence in that shot to be able to knock it down when he's wide open? I guess that's the part that you really want to figure out, because listen, all these workouts look great versus chairs and cones. I mean, we talked about Alex Caruso last season in the offseason and how he's improved his 3-point shot, and he hit 30 in a row. He didn't do that in the game. He hit like 1 in a row and then would miss the next 4.
I mean, listen, I don't even know if he hit 1 in a row, because I refuse to believe Alex Caruso missed some wide open shots, bro. Like it was times where literally, and it was always momentum ones too, right? It'd be like, damn, Alex Caruso's open at the corner. We finna go up 6 points. Oh, he missed it.
Woo! How'd you hit the side of the backboard? Zach, Alex Caruso or Russ? If you squint real hard, he becomes Russell Westbrook. No, I don't take much stock in off-season videos. I think that everybody's working on something. Everybody's trying to get better at something. The one thing that I do like, relax. Here's the tough part. If Jabari could have stayed healthy, he always could have been an offensive threat, but he never was going to be a defensive threat. He could have been an offensive threat, though. They just stopped believing in him.
That man said there's only been 3 people in the history of the league to get paid for defense.
Yeah, that's crazy. No, that was a bad take.
Wow, bro.
That was a bad take. That was really bad. That was really bad. Ironically enough, the only play I really remember Jabari Parker for is his game-saving block that got the Bulls a win.
Yeah.
It's the only play I really remember from his Bulls tenure. Like, maybe play some defense, Jabari. We're going to get younger and more athletic. I think that at the end of the day, when I look at Ayo Dosunmu, I like what he can bring to the team. There's just a ton of question marks on it, but I told y'all last season, he was going to have a comeback to earth moment. There was always that possibility, because now I know how to attack you defensively. The only thing I need to see come back, forget the 3-point shot, all of that. Bring the defense back. You bring the defense back, I got a spot for you on this team.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with that. If Ayo can get back to being the defender he was, keep in mind there were times last season where Ayo, not times, there were stretches where he was one of the best perimeter defensive players in the league last season.
2 seasons ago.
Yeah, well,
2 seasons, rookie year.
I mean, we haven't gone.
Oh, that's true. My bad. My bad. I'm mentally in the next season. Finals be there. I'm in the next season, bro.
But yeah, I really do hope they. I really do hope that that Ayo can get back to being that defender, and then let the confidence build everywhere else. And I'm sure last year was a kick in the nuts for Ayo's confidence, and hopefully he can get that back next season.
Hey, I'll tell you what, we didn't see him on that CHGO podcast very much, did we?
Bro, that's crazy because they sure did announce that they signed him, and he was on like 3 episodes last season.
That boy said, I'm not coming to the studio. I'm tired. No, here's the thing that I do think is going to happen, which could be a bite in the butt, could be a good thing for us. AK's not going to give up on any more pieces.
It's just, these are facts.
He's going to keep his guys around, which I'm not going to lie, as an old school basketball fan, I actually love. I love GMs that actually like say, I'm going to stick this out. We're going to ride this out. We're going to see what you can become. And hopefully you reach your full potential. Because Lowry, Jimmy Butler, Max Strus, who else have we traded that has gone on to have a pretty good career? Spencer Dinwiddie. We just basically just lied to him and told him he was going to be on the team and then cut him a week later. I'm trying to think of, is there anybody else that's in the NBA right now that was a former Bull that's having a pretty nice career right now? Like, I don't know, man. You're not going to see AK move on from a lot of guys coming up, I don't believe.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's hope that it changes, man. Let's really hope that it changes. I have a lot of faith still in Ayo. Maybe that's just me holding on to something that I don't need to be holding on to. But ultimately, I really do. I don't want to see him just let Ayo go, man. I want to see him resign. I think he can come back and make a bounce back with us.
You know what the biggest problem with Ayo is, right?
What's that?
I mean, no Kofi Coburn to stand beside him.
I mean, listen, Kofi Coburn.
Hey, I'm just saying, like Kofi could Bull sign Kofi, Ayo and Kofi could relive that pick and roll that was legendary at Illinois, and all of a sudden we're talking about championship 7.
All right, it's time to
go. No Kofi love, dog.
Bro, come on now. You know I've been literally hating on Kofi Coburn since last year's draft.
17-9, bro.
Yeah,
maybe he got a post move, bro. Maybe he got a post move,
bro. Like that, and I remember people like, "Oh, you see the Jazz? Jazz signed Kofi. He's gonna be amazing for him." That man was cut less than 30 days later. Bro.
Hey, dog. What's his name? Got that man cut. I don't care what nobody say. Freaking what was that? What was that team name? Or what was that old boy name? Kenny Lofton Jr. Got Kofi cut instantly, bro. Hey, Kenny Lofton was pushing that man around. I was like, I thought he was strong. That's what I'm saying. How can you be anyway, bro? Like soft big man be damned, bro. Like, do you want another rehash of Cristiano Felicio? I'll take him every day over Kofi Coburn right now. Hey, listen, but here's the thing: Kofi in the Japanese league, the B1 league. I don't know what that means. It feels like it's not the best league over there. He shot 57% and scored 19 points a game, bro. So maybe he's on his way back in Japan
because they think he's Godzilla, like he's burnt Godzilla.
Kofi, I still love you, man. Go to Illinois games. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. He was 19 and 7. 19 and 7.
Sign Kai Soto right now. You guys can follow me at CEO.
Kai Soto. Wait a minute. Not Kai.
HAIZE. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. Me and Pat will be back tomorrow with more craziness, I'm sure. For Pat, I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls, man. We out, y'all. Peace.
Peace. Hey, he plays for the Nagata All Blacks. That's gotta be a joke.